Yo, what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back yet again, everybody. We're back with another fragrance review right here, guys. And right outside, guys, remember that storm I was talking about yesterday on that last video? It is here, guys, in LA. It is pouring outside. It is pretty cold, guys. So with that being said, this is the perfect time, perfect moment to be talking about this gourmand fragrance that I'm sure a lot of y'all want to know my thoughts on. I myself wanted to know what this fragrance was gonna be about. So this is that day, guys. Let's go. Now, before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys, okay? Liking, subscribing, and watching the ads is a great big deal to this channel. Guys, we are, I think, 300 away from the coveted 20,000 subscribers, guys. So please continue to support the channel, spread the videos around, tell your friends, especially those that want to know about the fragrance before they buy them or spend their hard-earned money on them. So please continue your support. Thank you very much. And the fragrance we'll be talking about today is none other than Jousset Parfums Gourmand Bakhoor. Yes, Jousset Parfums Gourmand Bakhoor. Finally, here in the No Hype channel right here, guys. Now, this fragrance right here, like many other gourmand fragrances for the fall-winter season, I mean, I get prompted to review these. My interest really gets high around this time of the year when it's actually pretty cold, guys, because a lot of these perfumes really are very warming and comforting, guys, and really a lot of them smell pretty damn good. Now, if you don't know what gourmand perfumes are, these are basically, gourmand perfumes are perfumes that have a sugary overload, and usually the notes are kind of like these synthetic notes made up of, you know, edible ingredients such as chocolate or caramel or strawberry or even cotton candy or cookies. And, you know, gourmand perfumes, there's a huge fanfare on this, okay? There are some perfume collectors that's mostly what they collect is gourmand perfumes, and there are reviewers that pretty much just review that, and there are decanters that pretty much decant just that. And that's because there's really a nice impact of gourmand perfumes, like I said, especially in this season. Very yummy, very enticing, very different if you consider, you know, the standard mainstream perfumes. It's very different. It will give a different impact. And so that's what got me interested exactly at this time. But in addition, the thing that really got me interested was the second word, the second piece of the puzzle, which is Bakhoor, okay? And that's really what got me interested. And Bakhoor, guys, is an Arabic term for the wood chips, the incense chips that, you know, they light up in the Middle East to create this incensey smell. And I've referenced Bakhoor a lot of times, especially when I talk about a fragrance that has a prominent scent trail. So think about a smoky scent trail, wooden chips, that's Bakhoor. And so the fusion of these two things, guys, gourmand and Bakhoor, that was pretty interesting to me. And this fragrance is high on the hype meter. So let's go talk about this fragrance right now. Let's go spray it right here. Okay, guys, now let's talk about Jousset Parfums Gourmand Bakhoor, guys. No hype style. Now let's talk about it right here. Now this fragrance right here, I gotta say the opening is fantastic, okay? And it actually really resembles one of my favorite gourmand perfumes ever, guys, okay? Now, right here in the opening, you are going to have a combination of a burnt sugar accord. You're gonna get some caramel, you're gonna get honey and milk. So by my definition, like I said, these edible things, the overload of sugar is gonna be right here in this gourmand fragrance. But what does this really smell like? In the beginning of Gourmand Bakhoor, you are going to get, of course, the standard caramel right there, kind of sticky sweet caramel, but you are going to get that burnt sugar accord, creating somewhat of a cookies or speculoos texture in the fragrance, guys, okay? And you have this cutting note of milk, which is pretty interesting as well. Now, if you're wondering about the honey is a well-embedded honey. And I know that honey is, for a lot of people, kind of like a stay away type of note, guys, especially when you overload a perfume with honey. But in this case, the honey is actually a supporting cast member. It's a low-key supporting cast member to create yet another sweet sensation in this opening, guys. But really, it's caramel cookies that really blasts hard the moment you spray this fragrance, guys. And off the bat of my head, the moment I sprayed this, I was just like, dude, Italica. Serjoff Italica, without a doubt, is one of my favorite gourmand fragrances. It hit me like a truck the moment I tried it. There was nothing else like it. But then that was a while ago. What was that, 2 years ago, guys? And so, I knew that at some point, some other company, some upstart company will actually take the mantle and will take that formula and put it out there right here. Now, I'm sure that if you have Italica in your closet, in your collection, and you tried spraying this right here, the first impact will truly remind you of Italica. You got the warming cookies. It's not almond, but you got the warming cookies, the caramel toffee type of smell. Very, very familiar to Italica right here. Now, there are some people that are reporting this sour milk smell. Okay, now I'm not going to say it's sour, but the milk accord, believe it or not, is the one that is kind of like the differentiator. To me, it is a cutting, lingering smell that keeps things interesting. I mean, you've got to, because really the cookies and the caramel, like, it's really an overdose of it. It's really strong, actually, guys. And so the milk right here does provide, like I said, that cutting smell, a lactonic cutting smell that some people are considering sour. I don't consider it sour, it's just different. And then you have kind of like that underlying base of honey to provide yet another dimension to this gourmand fragrance. Okay, now right here in the mid of Jousset Gourmand Bakhoor, things get interesting, guys. And that's because the mid notes are really the point of interest and intrigue when it comes to this fragrance, guys. So you've got 3 notes right here. You've got Bakhoor, or incense. You've got leather, and then you've got caramel. Okay, so it is very, very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people that haven't tried this fragrance, you've heard my piece on the first part, and you're probably like, oh my God, Italica style, caramel, toffee, biscuits, lovely, but then, ooh, incense, leather, what's up with that, And I'm sure you guys and gals are curious about that if you've never smelled this fragrance, guys. Now, the common consensus about this fragrance is that the incense or the Bakhoor really doesn't exist. A lot of people are saying, well, I can't really detect the kind of incense. Really, you're getting the caramel toffee for the entirety of this fragrance, guys. Now, the thing I'll say about the incense is that it is definitely there, but it's not going to be in the case of these strong Omani incense types that are like taking over the actual smell of the fragrance. Matter of fact, it is categorized as just woody Bakhoor. And so really, it's almost like an incense that is more of the incensey character rather than a churchy smell that takes over the fragrance. So without a doubt, the gourmand smell of this fragrance, your caramel toffee, does move along into the mid. But the thing about these notes is that eventually they just settle down. And they are these sticky sweet notes that settle on your skin really quickly. But in this fragrance, one thing you'll notice if you actually spray this is that it has the Bakhoor type projection. And that is care of that Bakhoor note, that woody Bakhoor incense note projecting this fragrance into those levels, guys. So with that being said, the initial sillage and projection of this fragrance, obviously, first and foremost, it is going to be a draw-in scent. That is the big reason why women love gourmand perfumes, because it draws the men in. It brings the boys to the yard, okay? There is a draw-in sweet quality in all these gourmand perfumes. That's why there's all this fanfare. But also, like I said, because you have the Bakhoor, you have that incensey, smoky trail that's created by that Bakhoor note. Guys, this is also strong and projecting, and it does create a scent trail. And I reckon that's why a lot of people love this fragrance as well, because as you are walking around the room, you're also catching the whiffs, or they're catching the whiffs of this sweet fragrance, guys, and then the draw-in as well. So that's what the Bakhoor is for. It's definitely in there, but like I said, it's not going to be a takeover note that makes this fragrance an incense fragrance, guys. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say about that. Now, the leather right here, guys, for a lot of people that buy perfumes is always a cause for concern, because sometimes leather can be too much, too strong for a fragrance, and can actually, change the course of how it becomes. Now, here in this fragrance, Gourmand Bakhoor, the leather is actually a light leather. Okay, it's a light leather. They actually say it on the literature of this fragrance, and it is quite light actually, guys. It cuts precisely as minor as that lactonic milk accord, and that leather right here is actually, if you smell it, it's more of like a gradient, classy, like leather cut. It cuts through like a leather classy accord. And I would say that it's much like how musk does it for a lot of fragrances. If they add musk to a fragrance, there's this classy tangent. And I believe that the leather here, although minor, provides the same thing as well. But nevertheless, guys, caramel, which is at the heart of this fragrance, is really the strongest one. Okay, it beams out from top to bottom. It's still gonna be your caramel toffee, but biscuits, and then that smokiness of the Bakhoor, creating that type of projection with the classiness of leather, guys. Okay, so for those who were wondering what the mid was gonna be like, that's what it is to me. It's pretty nice, but I like how it goes from just the biscuits, caramel, gourmand, burnt sugar vibe now into a more classier draw-in vibe. And also, let me say this, that towards the end of the mid, the incense actually weakens at some point. I would say like the 4-hour mark or 3 to 4 hour mark. And because of that, you have now a settling down process. And the latter mid to me is when everything, in my opinion, settles down. Because like I said, in the beginning, because of the Bakhoor, it's pretty intense. It's pretty thick and it's pretty strong. The latter mid right here is more of when everything settles down. The caramel actually creates that sticky sweet draw-in feeling, and there's less Bakhoor right here in the mid. Now, in my opinion, the dry down is basically for comfort. Okay, it's mostly warming, comforting notes, pretty redundant towards the end, guys, because right here in the dry down, you're basically getting vanilla, you're getting chocolate, and tonka bean. Now, tonka bean right here is the bridge note into the dry down. It's got this kind of like halite, tobacco-like feel, still sweet, and mostly it is comforting. And I think it is mostly for the wearer. And again, you might not feel this change because you are gonna get a lot of comforting feels from the get-go of this fragrance via the burnt sugar accord, but this comes back here on the dry down stage thanks to the tonka bean, guys. Now let's talk about the chocolate. How chocolatey is it towards the end, guys? It's mostly like chocolate toffee, to be honest, and it's still overlapped by that caramel, and it still goes all the way into the dry down. The big change, I would say, is the appearance of the vanilla note being a lot stronger here. The vanilla right here in Gourmand Bakhoor is pretty creamy. It's like a creamy vanilla, kind of lactonic in a way, like a lactonic creamy vanilla, and that is kind of what stands out. But still, you have the caramel toffee, even in these, I wouldn't even say weak amounts, but I would say weaker than the first part, and then you have the warming tonka bean. So it's basically a warming, comforting ending to this fragrance. Now, a lot of people consider this fragrance to be incredibly linear, and I really don't blame them because this is a forward-leaning perfume, which means the intro has so much impact and so much power all the way into the mid that it's strong enough to where you could smell this for the entirety of the fragrance. And somehow I wish that maybe in the end they lessened the toffee, or maybe they put something else here as kind of like the end note, because it, like I said, it feels like you are smelling this throughout the entirety of this fragrance. And, you know, unless you really pick up on the subtleties, that's really what it's gonna be. But like I said, the actual smell is pretty amazing. It did remind me of Italica in the beginning, and thanks to the Bakhoor, you also have a strong projection from start to mid of this fragrance. Now let's talk about performance, because this is pretty long lasting. This fragrance to me lasted significant scent 12 hours, but really up to 15 or 16, I was still smelling that toffee. that caramel toffee stayed along until 16 or even 17 hours of wearing this fragrance. So it's really quite a long time that you are gonna smell this fragrance. Now, usability, let's talk about this right here. Number one, this fragrance is going to be a very usable, potent upscale grabber in my opinion. And I don't think it's gonna be like an everyday, but it is a fragrance that you can use whenever you want to catch the smoke or you want to catch the attention of people around you or a certain person. I mean, you know, Valentine's is coming. So if you want to catch the attention of a certain person or certain people, I think this will without a doubt do it. It has the potency to do it as well. On top of that gourmand sweet smell that it has, the potency will definitely do that as well. Now, for me though, it is my opinion that this fragrance should be worn in cold environments only. That's just me. And, you know, that really depends on the person. What you guys think is cold is different from my cold. But to me, it's like having a fragrance that cuts through the cold, if that makes sense. So in my opinion, if you're just gonna go to a standard AC environment, you might want to spray less of this because of the impact. You know, you got to brace for impact on this. But if it is, I don't know, 40 degrees, like 30 degrees, to me 30 to 40 is pretty cold. I think that this is quite okay. Even if you spray this like several times, it's gonna beam out, it's gonna cut through the cold in the outdoors. I think that that's really perfect, guys. So cold weather for me. And for those that are wondering if this fragrance is unisex or femme-leaning, I think that, of course, just like Italica, I think that some women will really, really get the most out of this fragrance because of its gourmand nature. Again, draw in with a scent trail. I mean, what kind of woman wouldn't want that? But I think guys could use this too, much like Italica. I mean, I loved Italica. Most people considered it femme, but I liked Italica. So I think guys can use this as well, especially amongst people that have never smelled that kind of caramel, biscuits, toffee type vibe. If they've never smelled that before, man, this is like a nice secret weapon perfume to use. Really, really amazing, guys. And again, performance is top notch on this fragrance. Now let's talk about the price, guys, because you know you're probably wondering, is this a full bottle worthy perfume? I saw the price, it was $155, and I was like, oh, that's okay. But then I saw that it was like 50 ml. Okay, that's what I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 50 ml for $155, and that's quite a lot. I mean, matter of fact, if you double that into 100 ml, that's kind of like buying Italica, right? It's kind of like that. But if you find this fragrance, Gourmand Bakhoor, at the $80 to $90 range, I think I saw it at $90 to $95 for a full bottle, new everything. I think that that would be okay. 50 ml, honestly, is more than enough. To me, these types of fragrances, just like Italica, they're great. They're great for like grabbing the attention of people and, you know, for Valentine's Day. But I can't imagine myself wearing this every day. I think that I would get kind of sick of it at some point if I wore this really often. And it's one of those fragrances, a strong, impactful, sticky sweet that I think for me, it's like every other month is when I would wear this. So 50 ml is going to go a long way, as you know, to have this kind of gourmand fragrance in your arsenal. Ultimately, guys, I think that Gourmand Bakhoor by Jousset is a great fragrance though. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I can't say nothing about this fragrance, okay? In terms of the scent profile, again, Italica style, that is really gonna be very effective, warming and comforting, and draw in. It will get the appeal of people around you in this current season, guys. Still winter, still raining or pouring or snowy wherever you guys are. This is still gonna be very much in play right here, guys. Price isn't that crazy. There are a lot of discounters, and I mean, I really think the performance is phenomenal as well. So that is it. That is my no hype review on Jousset Gourmand Bakhoor. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance. I'm sure a lot of y'all have already tried it. Given the hype of this fragrance right here, let me know in the comments below. I would love to know your opinions on this fragrance. And again, please do not forget to like and subscribe as we head towards 20K. I'll see you guys on the next video. God bless. Take care. Peace.